She wasn't supposed to be here. Not in this mansion with marble floors that shone like mirrors. Not in a world where chandeliers hung like frozen raindrops and silence carried a weight of power. But Elena was here. A poor maid with hands calloused from scrubbing floors. Her eyes always lowered. Her breath always held. Because she knew one mistake could cost her the only job keeping her alive. And then there was him. Damian Hale. The youngest CEO the city had ever known. A man whose wealth could silence storms. But behind his cold gaze there was a shadow. A sickness no one dared to whisper about. They called it his curse. An allergy no doctor could explain. Every time a woman came near, his chest tightened. His skin broke out in fire. His lungs betrayed him. He lived behind walls of glass and power. Cut off from touch. Cut off from love. Until that night. Elena had been told to deliver a tray to his private quarters. She trembled as she entered. Every servant knew the rules. No one stayed near him. No one spoke unless spoken to. No one touched him. But when the CEO staggered from his study, clutching his chest as if invisible hands were strangling him, Elena froze. His guards weren't there. The housekeeper had gone. It was just her and him. The most powerful man in the city gasping for air. Instinct broke through fear. She rushed forward. Her hand on his arm. Her voice desperate. "Sir, please breathe, please hold on." And something impossible happened. The attack slowed. His lungs opened. His body steadied under her touch. Damian stared at her as if the world had just shattered. Because for the first time in years, a woman's presence didn't destroy him. It saved him. That night became the beginning of something neither of them understood. The forbidden cure hidden in a poor maid's trembling hands. But cures have consequences. And the line between salvation and sin is thin. Very thin. That was all Damian could think as he stared at the maid who had just saved him. Her hand was still on his arm. Her breath uneven. Her wide eyes filled with fear that she had crossed an invisible line. He should have pushed her away. He should have called his guards. But he didn't. For the first time in years his body wasn't betraying him. Her touch felt like fire and peace at once. "Who are you?" he demanded, his voice low. "Just a maid," she whispered. Nothing more. But Damian Hale did not believe in coincidences. Not in business. Not in life. This girl had become something more dangerous than anyone in his empire could be. She was a cure. He tested it again the next day, ordering Elena to stand by while he worked. Every other woman made him suffocate. But not her. Her presence steadied him. Her nearness gave him strength. And he hated that he needed it. Because need made him weak. And weakness was something a Hale never allowed. Elena tried to keep her distance. Tried to remind herself she was poor and he was untouchable. But every hour she spent by his side, every flicker of his gaze landing on her, began to carve cracks in her resolve. One stormy night it happened. The power went out. The mansion fell into shadows. Damian was restless, pacing his study. Elena moved to light candles. When the thunder shook the glass walls, she stumbled. And before she could stop herself, she fell into his chest. No pain. No attack. No burning in his lungs. Only silence. Only breath. Only the shocking truth that her body against his felt like the one thing he had been denied his whole life. They stood frozen. The storm raging outside. Something unspoken pulling them closer. Damian whispered like a man confessing a sin. "You are the only one who doesn't hurt me." Elena shook her head. "Please, sir, this is wrong. I'm just a maid." But his hand lifted. Not to command. Not to control. but to touch the side of her face. The gentlest touch of a man starved of touch for too long. And in that forbidden moment, the line between master and servant, between cure and curse, between fear and desire, vanished. What happened that night was never meant to happen. It was a night both of them swore to bury in silence. But silence does not erase consequences. Weeks later, Elena would learn the truth she never imagined. She was carrying not one life but two. Twins. Children that belonged to the man she could never claim. Twins. The word echoed in her mind like a bell that would never stop ringing. Elena sat in the tiny clinic on the edge of the city. The paint on the walls peeled. The hum of an old fan filled the silence. Her hands trembled on her lap as the doctor's words replayed again and again. 2 heartbeats. 2 children growing inside her. And both belonged to Damien Hale. Her chest tightened with fear. What had she done? How could she carry the children of a man like him? A man whose world was built on glass towers and power. While she was nothing more than a servant with borrowed clothes and borrowed time. She pressed her palms against her stomach as if to shield the little lives inside her. Tears burned her eyes. This was not their fault. They hadn't asked to be born into a world of secrets and shadows. By the time she returned to the mansion that night, her soul felt heavier than the bag she carried. Every corner of the grand halls reminded her of the mistake. Every polished marble tile beneath her feet whispered the same truth. There was no place for her here anymore. But Damien noticed. He always noticed. The sharp CEO who could read boardrooms like open books saw the changes in her first. Her pale skin. Her swollen silence. The way she avoided his eyes whenever he spoke. He waited. He watched. Until finally one evening he found her alone in the corridor. The storm outside rattled the windows. His voice cut through the silence. "Tell me what you are hiding." She froze. Her heart thudded in her ears. "I'm not hiding anything," she whispered. "You are," he snapped. "Because I do not allow secrets in my house." His tone left no room for escape. Her lips trembled. And before she could stop herself, the truth broke free. "I'm pregnant." The air cracked like thunder between them. Damien's body stiffened. His jaw tightened. Pregnant. The word didn't sound real in his world of control and perfection. Whose, he demanded. His voice raw. His eyes burning into her. She wanted to lie. Wanted to say another man's name. But her voice betrayed her. "Yours." The silence that followed suffocated her. It was heavier than his anger. He turned his back to her. His shoulders rigid. His fists clenched. For a long moment he said nothing. And when he finally spoke, his voice was like ice. "You will leave. You will disappear. And no one will ever know what happened in this house." Her breath caught. Her heart shattered. She had known deep down this would be his choice. But a part of her had hoped. Hoped that the man who once touched her like she was the cure to his curse might see her as more than a servant. As more than a mistake. That hope died in the echo of his footsteps as he walked away. Elena left that night. Her bag half packed. Her heart heavy with fear and sorrow. She carried not just her own life but 2 fragile souls within her. And she vowed silently that she would fight for them no matter how hard the world became years past. Her small apartment never stopped smelling of soap and warm bread. Her hands bore blisters from endless shifts. But she smiled for them. Her children. They were her reason. Her strength. Her whole world. Meanwhile, Damien's empire rose higher. Taller buildings. Stronger deals. He ruled with a cold precision the world admired. But at night, when silence wrapped around him, he remembered the maid who had once steadied his breath. He never spoke of her. never searched. But in the quiet his chest felt emptier than it ever had. And then fate twisted the knife. It was a rainy afternoon when it happened. Damien's car pulled up near a school. He was there on business inspecting a new foundation wing his company had donated. And that was when he saw them. Two children. Running through the rain. Their shoes splashing in puddles. Their laughter piercing the storm. A little boy with his eyes. A little girl with his smile. Damien froze in place. His body stiff. His mind racing. It was impossible. But the truth stared back at him with every step they took. He gripped the car door for balance. The storm outside raged. But inside him another storm rose louder. He was looking at what he had cast away years ago. At the children he never knew he had. And for the first time in his powerful life, Damien Hale felt powerless. For the first time in his powerful life, Damien Hale felt powerless. He stood frozen in the rain. The sound of children's laughter piercing through the storm. Two little figures racing across the schoolyard. Two reflections of himself. A boy with his sharp eyes. A girl with his quiet smile. His chest tightened. Not with sickness this time, but with recognition. With truth. With the weight of what he had thrown away. The world around him blurred. The city, the guards, the umbrellas, the polished cars. None of it mattered. Only them. The twins he had never held. Never named. Never known. 1,000 questions rose in him. How old were they now? What were their names? Did they know who he was? Did they know he had rejected them before they even took their first breath? The boy slipped in the rain. Fell hard onto the pavement. The little girl rushed to him, helping him up. Elena's voice cut through the storm. Gentle, worried, calling their names. She came running with an umbrella. Her hair damp, her clothes worn. Her face still the same, though carved now with years of struggle. Damien's heart stuttered. Elena. The maid he had cast out. The woman he had once touched like she was his salvation. And the mother of his children. His driver asked softly, "Sir, shall we leave?" But Damien couldn't. He pushed open the car door. The rain drenching him instantly. Every step he took toward them felt heavier than the last. His empire, his rules, his power, none of it had prepared him for this moment. Elena looked up. Her eyes locking onto him. And in that instant her face drained of color. Her breath caught. She pulled the twins closer as if shielding them from a storm even greater than the rain. Damien stopped a few feet away. His voice unsteady. Elena. She shook her head. Her lips trembling. You have no right to be here. The children looked between them confused. Mom, who was that man? Her voice cracked. No one, just someone passing by. But Damien's eyes burned into hers. No, Elena, I am not no one. The boy tilted his head. Mom, he looks like me. The truth hung in the air, thick and undeniable. Elena's tears mixed with the rain. She had kept the secret for years. Hidden them, protected them. But now the wall had cracked. Damien's chest heaved. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Are they mine? Her silence was answer enough. The twins looked at her, then at him. The little girl's voice soft but clear. Mom, what does he mean? Elena clutched them tighter. Her tears spilling. Yes, she whispered finally. Yes, he is your father. The children stared at Damien with wide eyes. The boy's brow furrowed. The girl's lips parted. Neither spoke for a long moment. And then the boy asked, Where were you? The question sliced through Damien's soul. Where was he? He was in his towers, his meetings, his power. He was protecting his pride while she carried the weight alone. His voice cracked for the first time in years. I made a mistake. The greatest mistake of my life. The boy looked down. The girl leaned closer into her mother. Damien reached out but stopped halfway, afraid that if he touched them they would vanish like smoke. Elena's voice trembled. You sent me away, Damien. You told me to disappear. And I did. But I did not disappear alone. Every day, every night I carried the reminder of what you rejected. And I raised them without you. Her words cut deeper than any boardroom betrayal. Damien's throat burned. His empire, his name, his wealth, none of it could buy back the years he had lost. The birthdays, the first steps, the laughter he never heard. Please, he whispered. Let me try. Let me be part of their lives. Elena's face hardened. Do you think it's that simple? Do you think after all these years you can just walk back in and claim them? The rain fell harder. The children pressed against her sides. Damien's hands shook at his sides. No, it is not simple, he admitted. I cannot undo what I have done. But I can spend every day forward trying to make it right. The boy's voice broke through the silence again. Why now? Why not before? Because I was a coward, Damien answered truthfully. Because I let fear and pride rule me. And it cost me everything that mattered. The girl tilted her head. Her voice soft, almost curious. Do you love us? The question unraveled him completely. His knees nearly gave way. He looked at them through the rain, his voice raw. More than anything in this world. The children studied him. Elena studied him too. Searching for lies. But what they found in his eyes was not the cold CEO the world feared. It was a man stripped bare. A father begging for a chance. The storm slowed into drizzle. The silence stretched. Finally, Elena's shoulders dropped. She knelt, pulling the twins close, whispering to them. Her words were too soft to hear, but when she rose again her eyes were red and tired. You can see them, she said. But you will prove yourself, Damien. You will show them, not with money, not with power, but with presence. If you fail, I will not let you break them as you broke me. Damien nodded, his throat tight. You have my word. He stepped forward finally, kneeling before the twins. The boy stared at him, cautious. The girl reached out slowly. Her tiny hand touched his. And for the first time in years, Damien Hale felt whole. The rain had washed the city clean. But for him it had done more. It had given him the one thing he thought he could never have. Family. Yet as they walked away together under one umbrella, a shadow lingered in Damien's mind. Because power always attracts enemies. And somewhere beyond the storm someone had already noticed the weakness in the untouchable CEO. The cure he had once rejected had returned. And with it came not only hope, but danger. The story was not over. It was only beginning.